Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Tapaharine Hari Om Tatsat Hari Om Tatsat Hari Om Tatsat. My very reverential pranams to Srimad Swami Jnanalokananda Ji Maharaj, and my namaskars to Sri Kaushik Basu, whom we heard just now, and my namaskars to all of you, dear devotees and admirers of the Holy Trial. Just now we heard the introductory address by Swami Jnanalokananda Ji Maharaj. I'm very thankful for his very kind words which he spoke about me, and for his invitation to me to come here and address all of you. And also I thank Sri Kaushik Basu for his very affectionate words and many important things which he has highlighted in his short speech. Without wasting further time, let me just get into the main topic of today's gathering. The topic on which I am going to talk, let me right in the beginning, আমাকে একটা জিনিস বলতে হয়, this is not going to be essentially a spiritual talk. The topic is the glory of India and our responsibilities, and understanding this subject through the lens and spectacles of Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda, first of all, let me just express the kind of feeling I am getting here, standing in the very premises where, how do I describe this person? It becomes difficult. Words fail. We are standing in a place where this great, the builder of modern India was born. The person who was born for a great mission, which is yet to unfold. This is just the beginning now. Many centuries lie ahead of us, and we'll be seeing many great things happening. The person who had given the right direction to India and the Indians, and he had a global vision and mission. So, standing here in the birthplace of this great spiritual leader, a social reformer, a maddening patriot, literally a mad patriot. If you really want to understand what patriotism is, you have to study Swami Vivekananda. As somebody has said, if you really want to understand what India is and what the glory of Hindu Dharma is, we have no other source other than Swami Vivekananda. So it gives me a totally different feeling when I stand here and I have to speak about this person. Anyway, as I told, today's my topic is not going to be very spiritual. We all study the Upanishads. Fantastic. The ultimate authority in spiritual matters is the Upanishads. No comparison. But its practical application in this Kurukshetra of life, when we talk about its practical application, we have to come down to the immortal teachings of Sri Krishna, the teachings which Sri Krishna gave to Arjuna. Similarly, you see, you may read Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna is like the teachings of the Upanishads. But what about the Kurukshetra of this life? The different problems which India is facing, the world is facing, the tug of war which is going on between dharma and adharma. In this scenario, how are we going to apply these great teachings of the Upanishads? That is the big challenge. So just like it is important to read Sri Krishna's great teaching and the application of the Upanishadic ideas in our day-to-day life, similarly, I always say this point, it is not enough to read only Sri Ramakrishna's teachings. We have to equally give importance to read Swami Vivekananda to understand the application of these great teachings in our day-to-day life. Swami Vivekananda has left a great treasure of ideas about rebuilding India, the different problems which are so burningly relevant even today in, in June 2026, what this great man spoke 125 years back. It is burningly relevant, burningly. Literally, you can feel the heat of it. That's why it's not enough just to read Sri Ramakrishna, wonderful. But what about its practical application on the ground, what India is facing? The problems which our society, the problem which Bengal faces. Have you ever thought about it? Vivekananda has given enough hints how to regenerate our society and through the regenerations of India, how to regenerate the world at large, how to build a new civilization itself. That was Vivekananda's extent of his ideas and the depth of his, penetrating vision of human regeneration. So anyhow, let me come down to my main topic. It's a wonderful feeling today to stand here and talk about Swami Vivekananda. This I said before also. Today, if you just look into this Bengal itself, the social, the cultural, and the ideological, I'm talking about the ideological landscape of Bengal is undergoing a paradigm shift. Let me just repeat this line. The social, the cultural, and ideological landscape of Bengal is undergoing a paradigm shift. It is going back to her own roots. It's a welcome development. In the post-independent period, if you just look into the way Bengal was going, the great state of India, which has been the epicenter of all great developments in the 19th century and even till the time of India's independence. What happened after that? Bengal was experimenting with different thought systems. What should I say? The thought systems of communism, leftist ideas, Mao. Just imagine it simply troubles my sensibility. How can Mao Zedong be our ideal? How can ever Stalin be our ideal or Lenin be our ideal? It is simply totally startling to think about it. The country where we have such great teachers like Vivekananda, Shankaracharya, and the great rishis of the past. Do we have to take recourse to the ideas given by these people? And you know the history of these people. One famous historian says, the largest number of so-called genocide has taken place under the totalitarian regimes of these Mao Zedong, Stalin, and so-called all these leftist leaders. And we have been following the so-called, ideas given by these people. Do we not have Vivekananda here? So what I want to say is that today, Bengal is once again going back to her roots. Wonderful, a great transformation we can see after experimenting for nearly 5 or 6 decades with all the so-called foreign ideologies. It is going back to her roots. Now, where lies the root of Bengal, this great, wonderful state? The state where Shakti Puja, the great practices of so-called worship of the Divine Mother, the state of Kali, the Durga, Jagadhatri, wonderful culture, the culture coming down from the Vedas. Bengal is once again going back to that roots. Now, where lies the root of this great state and where lies the root of our country itself? Let me just read out that one passage from Swami Vivekananda to understand where lies the pulse of this country. We all have listened to this passage many times, but we need to revisit these ideas time and again, so that we remind ourselves about where lies the pulse of this great nation, where lies the pulse of this great state of Bengal. Swamiji says, please listen to these words very carefully. I'm verbatim, I'm just reading his statement. Swamiji says, "O India, Forget not that the ideal of thy womanhood is Sita, Savitri, Damayanti. Forget not that the God thou worshippest is the great ascetic of ascetics, the all-renouncing Shankara, the Lord of Uma. Forget not that thy marriage, thy wealth, thy life are not for sense pleasure, are not for thy individual personal happiness. Forget not that thou art born as a sacrifice to the mother's altar. Forget not that the lower classes, the ignorant, the poor, the illiterate, the cobbler, the sweeper, are thy flesh and blood, thy brothers. Look at this sentence of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was giving the mantra, a vow, where he is saying that, oh Indians, do not forget who are our role models. These foreign so-called ideologies coming from Europe, our role models are Sita, Savitri and Damayanti and figures like Shiva and Parvati. And he was reminding the Indians about where lies the root of this great country. So the first thing that we have to understand when we talk about this great nation, India, is that the very soul of India lies in this ancient thought system of the Vedas, which is today known as Hindu Dharma. That is the very soul of so-called India. I have given several talks on this subject. I need not go into the depths of this because we have not much time, because I need to touch upon several other important points. So it suffices to tell me that the very soul, the very pulse of this nation lies in this great Vedic system of thought, which is the most ancient system existing in the world, a living system existing in the world. Now, when we talk about this great Hindu Dharma in India, just remember Swami Vivekananda gave every drop of his blood and life to defend this Hindu system and India on the global stage. We all know that what happened in that wonderful meeting, Chicago Parliament of Religions, 1893. Let us just revisit those few words. See, I want to just remind one thing. When I'm using the term Hindu, it includes everybody living in this so-called Indian subcontinent. It is not being used in any narrow sense. Even if you go by the real meaning of the term Hindu, Swami Vivekananda says every individual living and staying on the eastern side of Sindhu River, they are all Hindus. That was the original meaning of the term Hindu. And even if you take it from the standpoint of the Vedic system of thought, even then, every person living in this subcontinent, they are all Hindus. In Hindus, I include everybody. The Buddhas, the Jainas, the Sikhs, the Jats, the South Indians, North Indians, the tribals, Adivasis, everybody. And even the so-called Muslims and Christians. Because if you just look into the Muslim community or the Christian community, if you take them back a few generations, they were all Hindus. So they got converted at a certain point of time. So everybody living on this Indian subcontinent, actually, if you just trace them back to their roots, you will find that they all belong to this great Vedic system of thought. So I'm using the term Hindu from that broadest sense of the term and not in any small communal sense of the term. Please take this point very seriously, otherwise my words may be misunderstood. So Swami Vivekananda was defending this great Vedic system of thought. Chicago Parliament of Religions. The first line, I consider that event, 1893, 11 September, to be the turning point event as far as India is concerned and even the entire globe is concerned. That was the day from where the trajectory of India's development and growth took a upward turn. Before that, what was the condition of India? This great son of the soil standing there on the Chicago Parliament of the Religions, he was the first line. I'm talking about the first line, the second line, and the third line. He is thanking the entire congregation, saying that, I thank you all in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. The first line. The question is, which is this most ancient order of monks in the world? The great order of monks of the Vedic Sanatana Dharma, which is today known as Hindu Dharma. At a time when the entire world was looking with disdain at Hindu Dharma, this one sannyasi absolutely with no political backing, with no strength. This alone, lone soldier of Hindu Dharma is standing there and defending this Hindu system proudly, with a thumping pride. He's telling everybody that I thank all of you in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world, which is the order of monks of the Vedic Sanatana Dharma. Second line, I thank you in the name of mother of all religions. Just see the statement. Hindu Dharma is the mother of all the systems existing in the world, directly or indirectly. All the so-called, Swami Vivekananda refers to India as the cradle of human civilization. Civilizations have, cultures have proceeded from this great land to all the parts of the world. We need to understand the glory. I'm going to talk about the glory of this great country. So, Vivekananda's second line, he's referring to Hindu Dharma as the mother of all religions. Third sentence, he says, I thank you in the name of millions and millions of Hindus of all classes and sects. And then, in that short 3.5 minute speech, just imagine, Vivekananda is telling 3-4 times, I am proud to belong to this nation. I am proud to belong to this religion. I am proud to belong to this nation. I am proud to belong to this religion. 4 times he says, this great Bharata and the religion which is the Vedic Sanatana Dharma. That is the inseparable connection between India and Hindu Dharma. Hindu Dharma is the very pulse, the life force, just like we have a body and prana functioning inside. India is not just a geographical piece of land. It is a living organism of which the very prana, the life force is Vedic Sanatana Dharma. If this life force is dead, my dear brothers and sisters, remember Vivekananda's warning. Within 3 generations, India will be dead and gone. It's a warning coming from this great teacher who was born this very place. If this Hindu Sanatana Dharma is gone from this land, India will be something else. It won't be the beautiful Bharat which we are experiencing here today, where we are born here, and we are breathing this beautiful, what should I say, the breath and the air of freedom and harmony, peace and love. This is the only country which can give that to the entire world. So this is the connection between India and so-called Hindu Dharma, whom Vivekananda defended so bravely. And he has left down a legacy for you and me to carry this work forward. We have some great responsibilities. It's not enough to just, what should I say, come and it's good. Associations are good, as just now Gyana Lukanji was saying. If you associate with so-called the inferior people, we acquire inferior qualities. If you associate with the people of same intellectual caliber, you remain at the same level. But when you associate with great people, our intellectual level also goes up. So we have to learn wonderful lessons from Swami Vivekananda and carry that legacy forward. Now, if Vivekananda was defending, now I'm remembering one thing. In that Chicago lecture, Swami Vivekananda says that Hinduism is the only system which accepts all religions. This is something very important for all Indians to understand. The psychology behind that. He says that this Hindu Dharma is the only system which accepts all religion. And at several places even after that, Vivekananda says something more. If Hinduism, we alone are the people who accept everybody. This acceptance, where do you find in the world? Can a Muslim accept everybody? He cannot accept those who are not Muslims. Can a Christian accept everybody? No, they cannot. That is not there in the system of their theology and their thought system itself. It is only in the Vedic system of thought where we have such wonderful ideas, and that is all coming from the great Advaitic legacy, that Advaita Drishti. I am Nija Parovaiti Ganana Laghuchetasam Udara Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It gives me goosebumps. Ages ago, when Europe and America was not even born, some rishi here standing on the bank of Ganga had declared this. The thought that you are different and I am different. This is the drishti of a very narrow-minded person. But Udara Charitanam, those who have the wider vision, for them this entire globe is one family. Tell me, where do we have this ideology on this earth even today? This is the glory of Hindu Dharma, which Swami Vivekananda was defending with every drop of blood of his body and life itself. Now, Vivekananda's another very big, important statement. I will just read out. It's very important in this context to revisit those ideas. If India alone says that we accept everybody, If Hindu Dharma alone says that we accept everybody, that is reason, Swami Vivekananda says. They little dream that that is the very argument with which we prove our religion, because it does not make for this world. Now, please listen to these words very attentively. Swamiji is saying, ours is the only true religion because, according to it, this little sense world of 3 days duration is not to be made the end and aim of all, is not to be our great goal. This little earthly horizon of a few feet is not that which bounds the view of our religion. Ours is away beyond and still beyond, beyond the senses, beyond space, beyond time, away, beyond, till nothing of this world is left, and the universe itself becomes like a drop in the transcendent ocean of the glory of the soul, the Atman, the Vedas. Ours is the true religion because it teaches that God alone is true and that this world is false and fleeting. See, he is talking about the great Hindu system of thought, and he is saying ours only is the true religion. Ours is the true religion because it teaches that God alone is true and this world is false and fleeting, that all your gold is but as dust, that all your power is finite, and that life itself is oftentimes an evil. Therefore, it is that ours is the true religion. Ours is the true religion because, above all, it teaches renunciation and stands up with the wisdom of ages to tell and to declare to the nations who are mere children of yesterday, in comparison with us, the Hindus, to tell them in plain words, children, you are slave of the senses. There is only finiteness in the senses. There is only ruination in the senses. The 3 short days of luxury here bring only ruin at last. Give it all up. Renounce the love of the senses and of the world. And that's the way of religion. Through renunciation is the way to the goal and not through enjoyment. Tyage neke amritattva manushu. Therefore, ours is the only true religion. It's a beautiful statement. If Vivekananda has spoken about the fact that we accept all religions, at several other places, more than half a dozen places, Swamiji speaks this language also, that ours is the only true religion. In one place he says, the Semitic religions are a distant, patchy imitations of Hinduism. Hindu Dharma is the mother of all religions. So this is what we have to keep in mind. This Hindu Dharma is the very soul of India. Without this Hindu Dharma, there is no India at all. It is this great Vedic system of thought which makes India, India. And this great Hindu Dharma is what is making Bengal, the beautiful place. Every single state. Last year we all had the great Kumbh Mela. Wonderful. What did we see? 65 crore people assembling, congregating in one place for 1.5 months. People speaking different languages from south, from north, from west, from east. All of them with different customs, different eating habits, different lifestyles, but all united by one factor. Swami Vivekananda repeatedly talks about this point. Remember, India is a very special place. It cannot be compared with other parts of the world. We have our distinctiveness, our unique characteristic. And what is that unifying force which unifies this so-called today's 140 crore people? It is our religion. Just look into the wonderful, that phenomenon which I was talking about, the great Kumbh Mela. 65 crore people, everyone speaking different languages, but all united by common faith system, common thought system. The person in Tamil Nadu will also consider Ganga to be sacred. The person in Rajasthan speaking Rajasthani language also considers Ganga to be the sacred river. What binds them together is religion. It is this religion which is the very heartthrob of this nation. Let us not forget this point. Vivekananda doesn't tire telling this repeatedly so that we people don't forget, don't look towards West to find who we are. First of all, what we have to do is we have to shed this colonial baggage which we are carrying with us. Try to look at India from the lens of our great teachers like Vivekananda, then we will understand where lies the very life force and the pulse of this great nation. So, if we have to talk about the glory of India, now let me come to that point. Hindu Dharma itself is the very glory of this great land. And when we talk about the glory of India, we have to look behind. We should not think that many people are of the view that, oh, we should not be looking into the past. In the past, many good things might have taken place. Many so-called bad things, unpleasant things also might have happened. What is the point in looking in the back, in the history? No, it's not like that. We have to look back. We have to learn lessons from history. We have to draw some inspiration from the past and understand where lies our roots. So Vivekananda says in one place, he says that, look back, therefore, as far as you can, drink deep of the eternal fountains that are behind. And after that, look forward, march forward, and make India brighter, greater, much higher than she ever was. So there is a need for us to understand our own history, our ancestry, who we belong to, the blood which courses in our veins. Swamiji says, our ancestors were great. Do we have any idea about the greatness of our ancestors? I'm talking about my father, your father's father, your father's father's father. Go back. We are all children of great ancestors. I'm just going to touch upon those very, very points. This great ancestry which we have, remember, again, this is very unique. Nowhere on the planet you will find the kind of ancestry which we have. We are the children of the rishis. So Swamiji says, we must first recall that. We must learn the elements of our being. The blood that courses in our veins. We must have faith in that blood and what it did in the past. And out of that faith and consciousness of the past greatness, we must build an India yet greater than what she has been in the past. So it is very important for us to understand the glory of the so-called Indian ancestry, our ancestry. So when we talk about India's glory, the first point which I have already mentioned, that is the very glory of India, is this Sanatana Dharma, Hindu Dharma, which is very unique. The world is yet waiting to get the real message of Hindu Dharma. This alone can save the world. You can write it down. It may sound a bit dogmatic and fanatic, but it's not fanatic. It's a fact. Now, when we look into the great attainments of our ancestors, the first thing which comes to my mind, which happened just last week, just 7 days back, you might have already noted it in the news channels. It was there. The Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh, in Scotland, just 7 days back. It's an event which happened just 7 days back. In the Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh, in Scotland, in that so-called medical college, the statue of Shushruta was unveiled. They have honored, they have understood the great contribution made by this great person called Shushruta. I don't know how many Indians have even heard about it. That is the most funniest part of it. Today, England is honoring this person, the Shushruta. He is known to be the father of surgeons. I ask this word question. Even today in 2026, when Scotland is honoring Shushruta, how many medical colleges in India has got the statue of Shushruta in India? You will not find a single college with Shushruta's statue. We may having the pictures of all European so-called surgeons and we will be worshipping them. But today Scotland has understood the real father of surgeons was the Shushruta. And this person lived 25 centuries ago, 2,500 years ago, 6 centuries before Christ. And do you know his contribution? He has left behind the Shushruta Samhita, which is a record in which it is said that it is recorded some 300 surgical procedures being done with the help of 120 surgical instruments. And look at the level of his intellectual attainments, the knowledge which he had. He used to perform, he has given the detailed documentation of several surgeries like, ophthalmological surgeries, cataract surgeries. And the most important thing is rhinoplasty. Can you imagine? 25 centuries back, 500, 600 years before Christ, this person in India, our ancestor, our father's father's fathers, your father's father's father, this man was doing this rhinoplasty and has inspired the modern plastic surgery. It is all detailedly documented. And today, we Indians have not yet, actually speaking, felicitated or honored this our own great ancestor, whereas England is doing that. Unless this is the what should I say, the disease which we Indians suffer from. Unless the certification comes from the so-called the Western world, we won't wake up from this slumber. That is our problem. Everything has to come from the Europe and from the American scholars. Before that, if we say that something about Sushruta, we make fun of it. So now you can go on and on about these great such people. Sushruta, Charaka. Charaka is considered to be the father of medicine itself in the history. Even he existed 2,500 years back. Now just imagine, my dear brothers and sisters, anywhere in the world today, any child who is learning his numerals from 0 to 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, from the mother, from the father, the child is learning the numerals from 0 to 9. Remember, anywhere in the world, whether it is in Africa, an African child, a Latin American child, Australian child, French child, German child, anywhere in the world, when a baby is learning the numbers from 0 to 9, that baby is in touch with the genius of a Hindu mind, genius of an Indian mind. Do we even understand the importance of that? The great Einstein, he said that we owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count. These are the words of Einstein, none other than the genius of the so-called 20th century modern science. He is saying that we owe a lot to the so-called Indians who has taught how to count, without which no significant scientific discoveries could have been possible in the so-called 20th century. Einstein says this, it is the Indians who taught us how to count. The great mathematicians, Indians were the greatest mathematicians of the ancient world. Aryabhatta, Varahamira, Brahmagupta, Bhaskara 1, Bhaskara 2, you take, they were all great astronomers and mathematicians. Now, I don't want to go into the details of it. It's all well researched. Don't think that I'm just sentimentally pouring out these things. These are all well documented. You can go and check it out. All the great mathematical discoveries, we had the broad principles available in the minds of these great people. The details might have worked in the recent times. If we just look into what Kanada Rishi, the Kanada Rishi of the Vaisheshika system, this great Kanada Rishi, he also existed some, I think, more than 2 millenniums ago. He has given this great Vaisheshika system in which he reduces the entire world into atoms and particles. Today we are talking about quantum physics and particle physics, whereas the ideas of atoms and particles in its broadest sense was available to the so-called Indian thinkers way back. The contribution of Kanada Rishi and the contribution of Gautama, the great Nyaya system, epistemology. Today, epistemology itself is a big stream of investigation where we find wonderful developments, but the greatest epistemologists were existing in ancient India, the Gautama. Coming down to Sankhyan system, the great contribution of Kapila. We all know that in the 20th century, the entire worldview got transformed when so-called Einstein discovered the space-time continuum and the relationship between matter and energy. We all know that these things were given in a broad way in the Sankhyan system. The Sankhyan system, the great Kapila Muni, who talks about this material world, and he bifurcates it into two, saying Akasha and Prana, and the interplay between these two forces, Akasha, which is matter, and Prana, which is energy. Swami Vivekananda had given several lectures on this subject when he was in America, and his lectures used to be attended by Nikola Tesla in America. And Nikola Tesla was extremely impressed by what Swami Vivekananda was talking about, Akasha and Prana. And Vivekananda had even requested Nikola Tesla to derive an equation between this material, matter and energy. But unfortunately, during Swami Vivekananda's life, it could not materialize. In 1902, we all know Vivekananda died. And in 1905, Einstein came up with the famous equation we all know about, that E is equal to mc squared. And the whole way we are looking at this world has transformed. But as Vivekananda says, all the so-called modern scientific discoveries of that our ancient rishis had given the broad principles. The details have been worked out in the 20th century. Fine. So that has been the genius of the Indian minds. Our ancient rishis, I'm talking about 3-4 millenniums ago. Can you imagine? This was the height of the intellectual attainments of our ancestors. About grammar, come on, what comes to my mind is Panini's Ashtadhyayi. We all know. This Panini's Ashtadhyayi, the grammar, the first great grammarian of the world, about whom one great American so-called structural linguist, American, Leonard Bloomfield, he says that this Panini's Ashtadhyayi is the greatest monument of human intelligence. Whereas we Indians, we have still not understood the importance of what this Panini grammar is. Whereas the West is taking it very seriously. And today West has understood that this Panini's grammar is the best, Sanskrit language is the best language for so-called computer purposes. So this we can go on and on and on. There's no end to it. There is not much time to talk about this. One last point as far as the glory of so-called the India is concerned. The modern world has made so many technological advancements and discoveries, fantastic. The most modern discovery is the artificial intelligence, AI, which is totally taking over the world by a storm, fantastic. But you know, which is the greatest discovery that humanity has seen and yet to learn? The greatest, I'm talking about the greatest, which again is the gift of the so-called the Hindu genius or the Indian genius. The greatest discovery that the world has seen and yet to learn is only one. Ages ago. We don't know when. We don't know. We can't historically pinpoint when this happened. Some great rishi standing somewhere in the Himalayas, he discovered the ultimate reality as the Atman, the consciousness. This is the greatest discovery made in the history of humanity, which the world has yet to learn the lessons. This discovery of what is the true nature of the man and what is the true nature of this so-called world which we are experiencing, which was discovered by your father, my father, our ancestors. You know that? Today, world doesn't even know what consciousness is. They're just playing with these words. At the most, they understand a little bit of the brain. Whereas our great rishis, they had gone beyond the material plane and they had discovered the great thing which has got nothing to do with matter itself. That reality which exists by its own self, of which the great rishis were the teachers. This is the greatest discovery made in the history of humanity, which the world, even today, it doesn't know. The world is waiting to get this message of so-called the real nature of the human being, the Atman, for which Vivekananda came, for which Shankaracharya came 1200 years back. They were all great teachers of this great so-called reality, which was discovered by our own forefathers, which I consider the greatest discovery in the human history is the discovery of the Atman, which yet the world has to learn about it. Now this, we can go on and on. I don't want to continue it further. It is enough for us to understand the glory of the India. That's why Vivekananda refers to India as the cradle of human civilization. Philosophies, religions, sciences, empirical sciences, everything has gone from this land. Look at the architectural glory of this land. If you just go into any of the South Indian temples, and not only South Indian, everywhere you will find that. The architectural marvel, they're living, they're standing there. These rocks, the rock-cut temples, do you know what an amount of engineering and mathematics has gone into it? Just a couple of months I had gone to Madurai Meenakshi temple. It is simply stunning. What are we talking about? Taj Mahal and all? Taj Mahal just which came 400 years back. These rock monuments are standing there. They're talking to us. They're telling us, look at me, the engineering marvel of our ancestors. It is stunning to see how they might have constructed it. The engineering knowledge, the mathematics which they knew, how could they do it? Huge, massive structures standing for the last 2,000 years. The architectural marvel. You take anything in any field, which is the field in which India has not contributed. Now, this being the case, the great so-called our land, Bharatvarsha, about which Swami Vivekananda was so proud. The proudest Indian ever born, I feel, personally. And that is the spirit which we have to capture from Swami Vivekananda. That little fire, that spirit, a little bit of that fire should be in our so-called, it should course through our blood and veins, and then we will be able to do something for this country, rebuild this country in the lines of what Swami Vivekananda had shown. About rebuilding this country, let me just tell you one thing. We need not look left and right. Swami Vivekananda repeatedly says one thing. India has to develop. India has to grow. India has to expand on national lines, on national lines, on national lines. Repeatedly, he keeps on hammering these ideas. Don't try to follow the methods of the so-called other nations. Yes, we can take good points from them. What Vivekananda had prescribed was to be rooted in our own dharma, this great dharma, and take the good points, the scientific discoveries of the West. Fantastic. But overlooking the greatness of our own dharma, if you just imitate the Westerners, that would be a big mistake. So any development in the Indian context, it has to be on national lines. Let us not forget this point. Now, as far as this glory is concerned, we can go on endlessly. Let me come down to the point of responsibilities. What is your responsibility and what is my responsibility? Everyone's responsibility. You know, very often we hear from people, even in our history books also. Now, really, it's really very irony of this country that even after 7 decades of India's independence, we are still reading, history, which is totally, what should I say, perverted or misrepresented. In our history books, you will find India is always depicted as a defeated civilization or a civilization which was conquered, which was subjugated, ruled by the invaders. That is the kind of stress you will find in our history books. But what is the truth? Are we a really defeated civilization? Listen to this point very cleverly. If you ask me this question personally, I would say India is the only undefeated civilization in the entire world. Please listen to this point very carefully. India and the so-called this Hindu race, this is the only undefeated civilization in the entire world. Why am I saying this? You know what happened in this Indian context? Islamic invasion, last 1,000 years, and how Islamic invasion, see Islam, how from where it started. Please, one thing, I'm just speaking facts with no, what should I say, hatred for anything. We should know the facts. If you close your eyes to the facts, you're inviting your own destruction. Facts should be known. We should know what is what. We should know the psyche of a certain group of people and why they behave in a certain way. That has to be understood. Otherwise, we will be inviting our own ruination. So facts should be known. I am speaking pure facts, that's all. No hatred for anyone, but facts should be known. We should learn from the mistakes of the history. So we all know how Islam spread. From the migration which starts from Mecca to Medina and from Medina to, from lands after lands, nations after nations, we know. With the power of sword and fire, nations of the nations, they just fell down like pack of cards. In a matter of just 50, 60 or 100 years, in the matter of 100 years, Islam spread like a wildfire, conquering lands after lands, nations after nations. But one very important thing, when they reached India, they hit the wall. Let me repeat this point. But when they reached India, they hit the wall. This why I'm saying they hit the wall. Just imagine this so-called Islam, which could conquer lands after lands within a matter of 50, 60, 100 years. In India, this Islam has been existing. Repeated invasion, repeated, what should I say, devastation which it has caused in this great land. In spite of 9 centuries of their existence, even today, Hindus are 80% existing in this country. How did this happen? Is Indian civilization a defeated civilization? Indian civilization, Hindu civilization is the only civilization which is an undefeated civilization. All other civilizations are gone. Where is Persia? Where is Babylonia? Where is Egypt? It's all gone. Where is the original culture? It's gone. India, even today, it's a living civilization, the Hindu civilization. They came here, they ruled us, but they could not defeat us. Even today, India and Hinduism is throbbing and it is bubbling back. It cannot be killed. That's what Vivekananda says, this Hindu dharma India is a living organism. It is not just a piece of land. That is why Vivekananda always referred to India as Punya Bhumi, the great Aryavarta, this great land of the Aryans. And its very soul is this so-called, this Mahabharati's very soul is Hindu dharma. It cannot be killed. It cannot be killed. That's why when the invaders came to India, they subjugated us, but they could not defeat us. Now, the great responsibility that is lying on all of us today, if you just see, as I said, we have to preserve the Hindu Hindu character of this nation. As I said, Vivekananda had repeatedly mentioned this point. If this dharmic base of this land is gone, India will be dead and gone within 3 centuries. Now see, one very important factor, the students of history will know. In India, there is something very peculiar. Buddha, the great Buddha, wonderful. Buddha rejected the Vedas. Please listen to this very carefully. Buddha rejected the Vedas. Buddhism had to leave India and go away. Vivekananda mentions this point repeatedly. Buddha rejected the Vedas, the Hindu system of the thought, and Buddhism itself had to leave this country and go away. This is one great lesson. Any system, any invader who comes and stands at loggerhead with this great Vedic system of the thought, that so-called invader will have to wither away and go away. It cannot overtake the so-called the Vedic system of thought. So in India, there is one thing very peculiar. Anything which goes against this mother thought system, the Vedic thought system, Hindu thought system, that so-called group of people or that thought cannot survive in this land. And the Buddhism is one of the great examples where Vivekananda talked about. You reject Vedas, you cannot survive in this country. Vedas, how can you reject Vedas in this land? It is the very life force of this organism called India. You cannot do away with it. That is a great lesson which we have to learn. That's why it is very important for us to preserve the Hindu character of so-called India. And it is because of the Hinduism that India is, what should I say, to use that term, secular. Let me quote just one beautiful quote from a Muslim scholar, K.K. Muhammad, one of the very renowned archaeologists in India. He is still there. He's a wonderful person, a very enlightened Muslim, who is also very much involved, who was involved in the discovery of so-called Ram Janmabhoomi, in that issue also. So this great so-called enlightened Muslim, he says, I am quoting his words, is very important for us to understand, perfectly tallying with what Vivekananda had said. He says, if India is secular, it is only because it is a Hindu majority country. These are the words of a Muslim, K.K. Muhammad, a renowned archaeologist, a very respectable person, an enlightened Muslim. We want hundreds and thousands and lakhs of such enlightened Muslims and Christians in this land to understand the reality, to be honest to our own roots. This person is saying, if India is secular, it is only because it is a Hindu majority country. If it had been a Muslim majority country, it would never remain a secular country. A Muslim is saying this. Vivekananda had told ages ago, if this Hindu dharma goes away from this land, India will be dead and gone within 3 generations. K.K. Muhammad says that if India had been a Muslim majority country, it would never remain a secular country. So this is the greatness of Hinduism, which we should realize. Then he says, pointing at the Muslims, he further says, K.K. Muhammad says, if Rama and Krishna are not your itihasa purushas, he is saying if Rama and Krishna are not your itihasa purushas, means if Rama and Krishna are not our ideal role models, then you are not a perfect Muslim. A Muslim is saying this. Indian Muslims also should have adopted Rama and Krishna and all mythological figures as our own national heroes. He is saying, who are the so-called Muslims and Christians in this land? They were all Hindus. A few generations back, they were all the worshippers of Rama and Krishna. Today, they have converted themselves, and that is the tug of war which is going on in the country. But let us point out at the fact, let us be honest to our own roots. K.K. Muhammad is saying that Indian Muslims also should have adopted Rama and Krishna and all mythological figures as our own national heroes. Muslims have failed to understand the importance of this issue. Today, Indian Muslims have failed to understand the importance of this issue. This is the problem. Anyway, so coming back to our main topic here, that is understanding the importance of so-called this Vedic system of thought in the Indian context. And our biggest responsibility will be to preserve the Hindu character of India, Hindu character of Bengal. We cannot afford to make Bengal like Bangladesh and Pakistan. No, its Hindu nature has to be preserved. Let us do it proudly. Swami Vivekananda was the proudest Hindu ever lived. In one sentence, he says, "We are all Orthodox Hindus." I'm quoting him. You can find it out. He says in double quotes, "We are all Orthodox Hindus." But you have to understand what is the meaning of being a Hindu. The biggest irony of India is that 99% of the Hindus have got no idea about what Hinduism is. That is the biggest irony. The saddest part of the whole story. 99% of the Hindus have got no idea about what is Hindu Dharma. We are doing certain things on the surface. We don't know what is the ideology, what is the main depth of the philosophy that is not known to us. So we have to learn it. That's why I keep on saying, if you want to understand the glory of Hindu Dharma in India, please read Vivekananda. We have got no other option because we don't have the knowledge of Sanskrit. How can you go back to the Sanskrit text without understanding what Sanskrit is? But Vivekananda's books are available. And the greatest book I would say in the modern times is Lectures from Colombo to Almora. Please, I keep on telling this like a mad person. Wherever I get a chance, Lectures from Colombo to Almora, every Indian should read. Every Indian should literally drink every drop of word which Swami Vivekananda has spelt out in that immortal work. If you have to understand what India is and what Hindu Dharma is, then we can dedicate our life for something wonderful. So last point I would just like to mention, the so-called, see, I don't know, this is going to be a bit sensitive thing. We should understand the psyche of certain people who are given to mass butchering and murdering. Why? Certain books sanction it. Certain books sanction the murdering and butchering of other people, and this has been going on for 1,500 years, 2,000 years. Where lies the solution? Now, how are you going to handle the situation? Islam and Christianity, let me tell you, they could have been beautiful system, minus these certain dangerous terms like, infidels, holy war. If Islam sheds these two terms, infidels and holy war, and Islam, if it is only a way of communing with God, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What is the problem? But the moment a particular group of the people, they subscribe to the ideology of infidels and holy wars and certain books which sanction the killing of the so-called non-believers. You all have heard about anti-Semitism. We all know what this anti-Semitism is, that visceral hatred of the Muslims for the Jews. We know what is happening. The Jews people, amazing. Now, that's why a little bit of historical knowledge we should have. It is amazing that, this one small group of Jewish people, they have been standing alone and facing the onslaught of the attacks of the so-called the Islamic world for the last 1,500 years, and it is going on. I'm not taking any side. My question is, how do we handle this ideology of so-called infidels and holy war against all those who are non-believers? This is going to be the big challenge for India also today. So, any faith system, if it is just a simple way of communing with God, Christianity, Islam, wonderful. But the problem is, it has got something more, such damaging ideology like infidels and so-called holy wars. That kind of an ideology cannot be acceptable not only to India, but none of the civilized world. This is where Swami Vivekananda's ideas come. How are we going to handle the situation? We need, what should I say? Now, this will take us into a different direction if I go in detail. No, I don't want to carry it forward. What I would like to say is that if you look into Swami Vivekananda's ideas, India, in short, we have to strive to preserve the so-called the Hindu character of this great land. If that is changed, if that demography is changed, remember, we are inviting a great, great, great disaster in future. That should not be allowed. Any mode of communing with God is fantastic, no problem, whether it is Islam or Christianity, fantastic. But there are certain groups of the people, for them, it is something more than that. That dangerous part is what is actually causing problem all over the world. You know what is happening in UK. We all know what is happening in Europe. Let us not close our eyes. We know what is happening in America. It is happening. These historical mistakes, they are not the historical mistakes of the past. They are the realities of the present. Even for India also, even for Bengal also, you can't close your eyes to this reality. We will have to wake up and be aware of this fact and then act intelligently. So, We need to draw that inspiration and fire from Swami Vivekananda to face this situation. To conclude my talk, let me just go back to the point which I had started with. Remember the point number one. Hindu Dharma, the Vedic system of thought, is the very soul, the very prana of this great land, India. To preserve the Hindu character of this great land is the very greatest responsibility that we have. If that is gone, India will be gone. It will become something like, we don't know, Middle East or whatever it is. We cannot allow this to happen. It is our collective responsibility. And just like what Kaushik Basu had said, one point, morality and ethics. This is the one thing we Indians still lack. Horrible thing. Corruption. We know what was going on in Bengal. It happens everywhere, not only Bengal. In any part of the country you see this rampant cancer of corruption. As long as this unethical and so-called immoral way of life is continuing in this land, this is not Vivekananda's India. If we have to build up a Vivekananda's India, that Vivekananda's India can be built by morally upright people. People who are morally clean with good character. That's why Vivekananda had stressed upon this point. Character building, nation building through character building. Without good character, we cannot build a future India. So, my dear brothers and sisters, remember, our responsibility is to preserve the so-called Hindu character of this great country, number one. For that, we have to remain united. We may be speaking different languages, brothers and sisters, doesn't matter. We are one people. You may be speaking Bengali. Regionalism is okay, but regionalism should be subordinate to nationalism. Nationalism is first, nationalism is second, nationalism is last. This is applicable to all the states. Whether it is Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Bengal, Maharashtra, everywhere, we are all Indians. We may be speaking different language, but we are one people. That nationalistic spirit should be there. That is the fire which we have to capture from this great teacher called Swami Vivekananda, which you can get from his words. There is no, end to where we can think about Swami Vivekananda's contributions and what he has given to us to learn. And Vivekananda's vision, Vivekananda wanted a Prabuddha Bharat. He wanted an awakened India. This awakened India can be brought about by an awakened Hinduism, Hindu Dharma. Through an awakened Hindu Dharma, he wanted to bring about a Prabuddha Bharat, awakened India. And through these both, he wanted to bring about an awakened humanity, a beautiful humanity where this so-called, this wars, this killings can come to an end, where people can live a more stable and peaceful life, a life of harmony. All these things, beautiful things which we can learn from Swami Vivekananda's literature. So once again, I appeal to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, please take this point very seriously. Read lectures from Colombo to Almora. I say this is the most important work which has been left behind by this great master for the welfare of the India and so-called the whole humanity. Because if this Vedic system of thought is alive, and if India is alive, this entire global community is going to be benefited. And that is the way ahead. He wanted to bring about a new civilization. And we all have to commit ourselves to bring that kind of a scenario in future. So let us all pray to Swami Vivekananda to give us strength, and let us draw inspiration from his words. And it is not enough to just listen to the talks. We have to be serious about these matters, and we have to work on what he actually had suggested. Once again, I thank Swami Gyanalokanji Maharaj for having given me this chance to express a few ideas. And I hope that in future also, we will be getting many such occasions to share. There is no end to Vivekananda's, it's oceanic. You can dig out and out so many profiles, so many, 40 minutes or 45 minutes is not sufficient to dig into the profundity of this great teacher. So let us pray to the Almighty that let India thrive. India is today the fourth largest economy in the world. Amazing. 1947, the poorest country in the world. Today, we are the fourth largest economy in the world. How did this happen? In spite of all corruption, if India has reached here, just imagine if all the 140 crore people, if they become men and women of character, where is India going to reach? It's amazing. And in spite of all the divisions, if India is standing so strong, what will happen if all the 140 crore people, if we are organized, if we are united, power will be accumulated, Shakti will be accumulated. This is what Vivekananda wanted. Organization, coordination of wills, and accumulation of power. Let me repeat these three points. Vivekananda has stated that the future of India entirely depends upon these 3 points. Organization, unity, to be unified, coordination of wills, and accumulation of power. If this we have, India will be invincible. That is the kind of India Vivekananda had visualized, and that is the kind of India which we have to work for. Thank you so much.